Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to another session of Economy This Week, wherein we take important economy-related articles which appear in different newspapers such as Business Standard, Financial Express, Mint, Business Line, etc., and analyze these articles. In this particular session, I'll be taking up these articles from different newspapers spanning 3rd to 9th July 2025. Before I start the discussion, if anybody wants to download the PPT that I'm using in this session, along with the notes of the articles that I'm covering, all you need to do is join my Telegram channel. This is the QR code for that, and download from the Telegram channel. In addition to this, those who are preparing for the Civil Services 26 and 27, you need to ensure you have a very comprehensive coverage of the static portion, updation with relevant current affairs. You need to appear for multiple prelims test series, mains test series. All of this is available once you enroll into our courses at a price of 19,999. And if you use the code IS English, you will get an extension of up to 12 months. Those who are interested, do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description. Now let me start the discussion. First article from the Financial Express. The government of India is considering implementing certain measures in order to promote natural farming. Now what are the important points here? The government of India in recent times has been promoting organic farming as well as a natural farming. In case of natural farming, in the month of November 2024, hardly around 7 to 8 months ago, the government announced an initiative by the name of National Mission on Natural Farming, NMNF. I repeat the expansion, Natural National Mission on Natural Farming. This is a centrally sponsored initiative. Centrally sponsored initiative. In a sense, it means the government of India will incur certain part of the expenditure and the remaining part of the expenditure shall be incurred by the states. The total expenditure allocated for this initiative is 2,481 crore, of which 1,584 crore shall be spent is allocated by the center, and the remaining 897 crore has been allocated by the state governments. Under the initiative of NMNF, the government of India wants to cover 1 crore farmers. They want essentially to cover 1 crore farmers. And the government has stated that in those villages, in those blocks where there is already a prevalence, where there is already a practice of the natural farming, those blocks or those villages will be given the priority. In a sense, where there is a practice of natural farming, those will be promoted. Those villages would be covered here. Some of you might be thinking, sir, what is the meaning of natural farming? And is it the same as organic farming? Natural farming essentially means we are not going to use any kind of external inputs. For cultivation of the crops, you require inputs, you require fertilizer, you require pesticides, etc. Now, in the context of organic farming, under organic farming, we will not be using chemical fertilizers. We do not use chemical fertilizers, but we use organic inputs which are collected or which are basically taken from out of the field. That is, external inputs are used. Whereas the natural farming is a principle wherein whatever is available on the land, whatever is available in the field, only those will be utilized. No external inputs are utilized. And this is by nature this is by nature chemical free farming. This is by nature the chemical free farming. In fact, the government of India, the relevant ministry, has characterized this as chemical free farming. The advantage of promotion of natural farming is that the government right now spends a lot of money in sourcing fertilizers, especially chemical fertilizers. We import a lot of chemical fertilizer. A lot of time, the amount of subsidy burden on the government is high. That becomes a cause of concern. A lot of times, these chemical fertilizers, because of certain conflicts, certain issues in the global market, because we import them, the supply of this might be delayed. And when there is a delayed supply, automatically the demand for this will start racking up. There is a mismanagement also, that is the middleman will keep on storing these chemical fertilizers to black market them. Lot of the states every now and then will keep on approaching the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, that is the nodal ministry in the context of fertilizers, and writing them letters, informing them, saying that they are not able to get sufficient access to chemical fertilizer. A case in point in the most recent times is the letter written by Mr. Revant Reddy, telling the minister of chemical fertilizers that the amount of fertilizer that has been allocated is not sufficient. More fertilizer should be released to the state. In addition to this, when you use chemical fertilizers, there is always a concern that certain inputs such as pesticides, chemical inputs, might be present in the output. That is, the agriculture commodities, agriculture crops will have the presence of pesticides. And when you are dependent on these inputs, your dependency on these inputs would be much higher. Any disruption in terms of the supply of this will have a higher impact on your cultivation. And any changes in the prices of these inputs would also have an impact on the revenue potential or the income potential of the farmers. So, citing many of these particular concerns, the government of India has been promoting natural farming. But fact of the matter is, the government of India has a target of 1 crore farmers under the natural farming. That is, they should practice natural farming. As of now, hardly around 8 lakh farmers, hardly around 8 lakh farmers have basically registered to practice natural farming. Government now basically trying to promote the idea of natural farming for more and more or better adoption amongst the farmers. For example, what is the government of India trying to do now? As of now, government is already providing a financial assistance of 4,000 rupees per annum. A financial assistance of 4,000 rupees per annum is being provided for adoption of natural farming. In addition to this, the government of India has found that there is a lack of awareness amongst the farmers. The farmers do not know the idea of a natural farming. Even if they know, they do not know how to practice it. What are the different steps they are supposed to take? What kind of inputs they have to use from the field itself, that is within the field, if they do not have to be dependent on external inputs? What is Bijamrita, etc.? So the government of India has identified various clusters, agriculture village clusters have been identified. So agriculture field clusters of 50 hectare each have been found out, and these around 14,500 clusters. Remember this, around 14,500 clusters are the groups which basically consist of, let's say, pieces of land or the land up to 50 hectares have been identified. Now government of India is considering using these clusters for promotion of natural farming. Promotion in the sense, the government will be using these clusters to educate the farmers, to basically ensure farmers understand how the practice are supposed to be conducted, what methodology has to be adopted, etc. Lot of information shall be provided, training shall be provided to the farmers using these clusters. That is exactly what the government of India is trying to do under this initiative now. So these are certain very important points associated with natural farming and the initiative of government of India. Based on this, I've given an MCQ here. Let's solve it. Consider the following statements regarding the National Mission on Natural Farming, NMNF. It is a central sector scheme. No, it is not a central sector scheme. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. So first statement is incorrect. The government provides a 6,000 per year to promote natural farming. No, the government provides a financial assistance of 4,000 per year. Under the mission, the government aims to cover 1 crore farmers. Yes, this is the target which has been set up by Government of India. Right option for this question will be option A. Only one of the statements is correct. Let me go forward. A question for you to practice descriptive answer writing. The natural farming is a sustainable alternative to conventional agriculture. Elaborate. What you need to write under this? You need to basically start with, let's say, the current affairs point, using it as an introduction, saying that in recent times, the government of India has been promoting organic farming as well as the natural farming. In November 2024, the government of India, in fact, has launched National Mission on Natural Farming to promote the practice. Then, in the main body, you can provide a comparison between the natural farming as well as the traditional farming. Why natural farming is sustainable? Why is it better compared to traditional methodology of farming? For example, in traditional methodology of farming, the dependence on external inputs is very, very high. The prices of the inputs, if they keep on increasing, it will hurt the farmers. The access to inputs many of the times becomes difficult. The problem is associated with, let's say, even presence of or over usage of these inputs, which will cause more harm to the soil. Two, right? Let's say presence of the chemicals in the food grains, or let's say the vegetables, etc. Then make a comparison with natural farming and say this is the precise reason why natural farming is much better. It is a sustainable. Dependency is not there. Right? It can ensure that the output in the agriculture is healthy, etc. etc. So basically, this is how you need to structure your answer for this kind of a question. Please try it out. And I've not forgotten, at the end of the session, I'll give you assignment as well. Second article, cabinet nods for, or cabinet provides a nod for 1 lakh crore scheme to spur private investments in R&D. And what is the importance? The government of India very recently has approved a new initiative. Please remember the name, Research and Development. Research and Development and Innovation. Research, Development and Innovation RDI scheme. And the funds which have been approved by the cabinet under this particular scheme is 1 lakh crore rupees. 1 lakh crore rupees. Now, what is the importance of this initiative? Let me explain this. Any country which wants to become a developed country, any country which wants to grow in terms of GDP, in terms of protection or defense, national security, etc., you need to have lot of investment in research and development. R&D simply stands for research and development. For example, in recent times, I'm pretty sure you must have understood what is the importance of investing in developing defense equipments, defense technology, etc. But having said so, please listen to me carefully. Any investment in technology, is it always having a defense application? Is it always right focused on the national security? No doubt, a lot of times, not always, a lot of times, these kind of technologies will help us in defense, national security, etc. But they do also have civilian applications. They are also utilized in promotion of welfare of the people. In case of India, when you compare other countries, in case of India, the total amount of investment in R&D is very, very less. Historically, if you see, back in the year 2011, we used to spend around 60,000 odd crore rupees. 60,000 odd crore rupees in terms of research and development. And a decade later, we are spending more than 1.2 lakh crore rupees. Some of you might be thinking, great, in a span of a decade, our investment in R&D has more than doubled. But my dear, rather than simply looking at the absolute numbers, you need to focus this as a percentage of GDP. And you need to look at this as a percentage of GDP, because as the size of the economy changes, as the size of the economy increases, the government needs to ensure that from the private sector, from the government, lot of investment will be done in R&D, which will help us in further growth, further development. So in the context of India, as a percentage of GDP, generally you will come across the term GERD whenever you discuss the R&D. GERD simply stands for the gross expenditure in research and development. As a percentage of GDP, India's GERD is somewhere in the range of 0.64 percentage. 0.64 percentage. Whereas the developed countries and our neighbors such as China, they have an investment in the range of 2 to 5 percentage. Some country will have 3.5, some country will have 4.3%, some country will have 2.5%. So their investment in research and development is much, much higher compared to what is the investment in India. So one, overall investment in R&D has been a problem. Second problem in case of India has been, out of the investment that is done, majority of the investment is through government owned entities. The government owned entities are investing majority of the investment in R&D. The private sector investment, that is a very important point. The private sector investment in R&D has been very, very less in India. Let me give you a point so that you can understand this. A global giant such as Google, right, the American company, this company annually spends around 15% of its total revenues in R&D. 15%, mind you. And I'm pretty sure by now you must be knowing the amount of revenue that is generated by the companies such as Google will be much, much larger. What about India? In India, all the companies put together, the average is around 5%. The average is around 5%, which basically shows that the amount of investment that has been done by the private sector companies in India is much, much lower. We need to ensure that the private sector investment will pick up, especially in research and development. Now, in order to promote this, what has the government of India done? It has announced a new initiative, that is a RDI scheme. Under this, the scheme will basically function at two different levels. There are two levels under this initiative. At the top level, that is the first level. The first level, there is a special fund, STF, special fund which has been set up. And this particular special, right, dedicated fund will be operated by ANRF, Anusandhan National Research Foundation. I'll repeat it as well as I will underline it. It will be Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Right? So, this special purpose fund, not special development fund, special purpose fund. So, the special purpose fund will be controlled, will be monitored by ANRF. ANRF was set up in India with the passage of an act. ANRF Act. Right? So, with the passage of an act, we have a foundation which has been set up, and this is headed by Prime Minister. Now, under the ANRF, the government would be establishing an investment committee, that is, an expert committee. Now, this committee will ensure that the funds will start flowing to the second level. The funds will start flowing at the second level. That is, at the second level, there will be multiple types of investment institutions. There will be non banking financial companies or institutions. There will be development finance institutions, DFIs. There will be, right, many other types of institutions. So these particular institutions will be getting access to the funds. For example, the third type will be the alternative investment funds, AIFs, which is again a type of a financial institution. So AIF, non-banking financial institutions, the development finance institutions, etc., they will be getting access to the funds which has been kept under SPF, and they will be investing in these particular projects which are associated with research and development, thereby ensuring that when this kind of an assistance is available from the government, the private sector automatically will start spending more and more, and the overall outcome will be the research and development investment will be much higher. The outcomes are better for promotion of national security, for promotion of innovation, for promotion of welfare, etc., etc. So with that objective, this initiative of this fund has been established. But having said so, is it the panacea? Is it the only solution which will address all the ills of the R&D problem in India? The answer is no. Absolutely no. This is just a beginning. This is one of the initiatives. That's it. It is not the end goal. Reason being, even today, the manufacturing sector in India will not be able to meet the kind of requirements which are put forward by scientists. Many of the times, a scientist want a particular machinery, a particular technology, so that they will use this technology in conducting research and development. That kind of manufacturing power we do not have in India. And a lot of times the scientists depend on importing of this particular machinery. And when they want to import this kind of a machinery, there are a lot of restrictions, there are a lot of, right, let's say, approvals to be sought. So what can be done in this particular context is imports of the machinery can be, right, done in a much faster way. Single window system can be promoted by the government. And there is one more very important problem that the government needs to address in this regard. That is the issue of brain drain. Issue of brain drain. Lot of these, let's say, experts, lot of these individuals who have got very good skill sets, lot of knowledge. What is the reason they are basically going to other countries working for multinational enterprises? The reason is right kind of opportunities which can match a very good pay, which can provide them with a very good payment. That is a lot of times not available in India. And that is a precise reason, in search of, right, let's say, good packages, in search of better quality jobs, these experts or these individuals with very good analytical skills or technical skills end up, right, migrating to other countries and getting a job there and settling there. So it is essentially one more very important issue that the government of India needs to address in order to ensure that all the, right, let's say, factors will come together, all these issues are addressed, and the outcome is better R&D, which is going to work, which is going to help India not only in national security, also in achieving growth and development. So these are certain important points associated with this. One more MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding Anusandhan National Research Foundation, ANRF. It is set up under ANRF Act of 2023. It is headed by Prime Minister. It functions under Prime Minister's office. First statement is correct. Second statement is correct. Third one incorrect. It functions under Department of Science. So 1 and 2 are correct. Right option for the question will be option B. Only two of the statements are correct. Let me go forward to the next article. India's rights in WTO to retaliate on US auto tariffs won't affect trade deal talks. What is the story here? What has happened? Why India is talking about retaliatory tariffs against USA, etc.? Let's understand. Couple of months ago, the government of USA announced safeguard duties. The government there announced safeguard duties. And these particular taxes in the form of ad valorem tax, that is essentially type of a tax. These particular taxes were targeting exports from India. And these particular exports from India are essentially from automobile sector. Automobile sector, right? Or automobile industry. Now, this is point number one. And whenever any country imposes these kind of safeguard duties, what is the logic behind it? What is the thinking behind it? The thought behind this is these safeguard duties are hurting the domestic industries. These are hurting the domestic manufacturers. In order to protect the domestic manufacturers for a temporary reason or for a temporary time period, I am going to impose the safeguard duties. This is the basic idea. But once these kind of duties are imposed under the dispute settlement understanding, DSU, under the dispute settlement understanding, that is the guidelines which basically regulate the dispute settlement process under World Trade Organization. Under Article 4 of this, under Article 4 of this, the countries which are there in the dispute, that is, let's say USA will impose the tariff, India will oppose that. India will basically say, and that is the argument of government of India now here. Whatever duties have been announced, whatever taxes have been announced by government of USA, these are not conforming. These are not according to the provisions of General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade 1994. These are in violation of the provisions under GATT. This is the argument of government of India. So, coming to the point here, under the dispute settlement body, that is the guidelines which are applicable for the process here, under Article 4, there is basically the concept of talks, that is negotiations. Under this, the parties which are involved in a dispute, they are supposed to come to right each other, they are supposed to meet each other, try to hold right negotiations, try to conduct talks with each other and resolve this particular dispute. Resolve this particular dispute. But the government of India simply says, on one side, USA unilaterally has imposed the tariffs or the taxes which are not in conformity with the provisions under GATT 1994. And on the other side, I want to hold talks with USA, but it is not willing to talk under the DSU guidelines. It is not willing to talk to me. It has not come to negotiation table. So what is the solution for government of India? The government of India now says, if this is the situation, I will also retaliate against US. And that is given as a power to government of India under an agreement called as a agreement on safeguards. Right? This kind of a power is given to the government under the agreement on safeguards, wherein if one country unilaterally imposes a tariff and doesn't come to the negotiation table, doesn't right conduct talks to resolve the issue, in such cases, the benefits which are extended by the other country, that is India in this case, the benefits that India is extending to USA can be withdrawn. And the government of India can impose a retaliatory tariff, impose the taxes, collect the taxes of the same magnitude that USA is collecting. What do I mean by this? According to the government of India, USA, by imposing these safeguard duties, is collecting $723.75 million. It is imposing and collecting this much amount of tariff. Government of India simply says, I will also target the imports which are coming into India, which are valued at $2,895 million. I will impose the tariff on this and I will collect the same amount of tax. I will also collect the same amount of tax that is same in magnitude that is being imposed and collected by USA. Right? So this is basically the right, let's say the confirmation or let's say the writing which has been provided by Government of India to World Trade Organization. And what is the meaning of this headline? What is the headline trying to tell you? On one side, this is happening. At WTO, on one side, this is happening. And on the other side, India and USA are negotiating a bilateral trade agreement. What will be the structure of BTA? Will it cover agriculture or non agriculture? There is no clarity regarding this as of now. All we know is, as per the statements given by various representatives, The deal is going to be signed very soon. Once they sign, you will understand what are the right, let's say contours, or what are the details of the right, or what are the provisions of the trade deal. But very importantly, the government of India and USA want to basically increase the total bilateral trade. With this kind of an agreement, what is the objective? Of course, USA is worried about self interest. But one of the basic talking points is the overall bilateral trade, we want to increase it. How much? Right now, the bilateral trade is around $191 billion. We want to increase it to $500 billion by 2030, which is very, very ambitious considering what are the situations in the domestic market, in USA, in India, as well as the global factors. So these are certain very important points associated with the article provided here. Now let me go forward. Next article. Mr. Sanjay Bhandari has been declared as a fugitive economic offender. Has been declared as a fugitive economic offender. What is the basic idea of a fugitive economic offender? Why this term has been there in the discussion in recent times? So far, including this person, 16 people, I repeat, 16 people have been declared as fugitive economic offenders. What is the basic idea? And as such, this particular terminology was there very recently in the newspaper in circulation because of the podcast that was given by, or the interview that was given by Mr. Vijay Mallya. So let's understand what is the issue here. Let's break down the important points which you can use for UPSC examination. Point number one, there are various offenses under different laws. There are different types of offenses in India. But there are certain offenses which are considered to be economic offenses. For example, what if you issue a check but there are no funds in the bank account? There will be a check bounce. It is an offense. You're not supposed to do that. What if you're involved in, right, let's say, right, fake printing and circulation of security papers, right, security papers, bonds, etc. What if you are involved in, right, essentially circulation of black money using certain nefarious means, etc. So I hope you understand there are different types of offenses like this. So there is a full list of offenses. More than 50 types of offenses have been listed under Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. I repeat, Fugitive, I'm talking about the full form now. Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, FEO Act. More than 50 types of offenses under different pieces of laws have been listed under the act. And listen to me carefully. If you are alleged to be involved in these offenses, there is, right, let's say, a case that is pending against you, or let's say, right, arrest warrant which has been issued against you. You have escaped, you have ran away from India, and you're sitting in a foreign country. Now you do not want to come back and face prosecution. Is the point okay with all of you? Right? There is an allegation. Right now, they want to take you into custody. You have run away from India. You do not want to come back and face the allegations. You do not want to face the judicial system in India. In that case, plus, if the value of the offense, if the total value of the offense is more than 100 crore rupees, in such cases, the government officials can approach a special court which is set up under PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. They can approach a special court set up under PMLA, submit all of this, and the judge will look into all of this. And once they are satisfied, they will declare you as a fugitive economic offender. Very simple. They will declare you as a fugitive economic offender. And once you're declared as a fugitive economic offender, what will happen? Your assets will be confiscated. Your assets will be, right, basically confiscated, taken over by the government. They'll be taken over by the government. Can you file a case against the government if they confiscate or take away your asset? Absolutely no. No civil suits can be filed once your assets are taken away by the government once you're declared as a fugitive economic offender. Now, what is the case here? Why this person, that is Sanjay Bhandari, has been declared as a fugitive economic offender? The points are very simple. According to the government documents which have been submitted to the court, this person had lot of assets in overseas. The person has acquired assets overseas. And listen to me carefully. Whenever you have assets either in the domestic market or in the foreign market, doesn't matter. Assets are assets. And when you file the income tax returns, you will have to submit all the data. You'll have to quote all these assets, and also you'll have to tell what is the expenditure that you have incurred on it, how much revenue you are generating from these right investments abroad, etc., etc. All these details have to be disclosed to the government authorities. According to the government authorities, this information in case of overseas assets was not provided. It was not provided. As a result of this, the government has imposed, that is, the tax department has imposed taxes on this, the pending tax dues. In addition to this, right, the penalties and other charges, right, along with the interest has been imposed. And when you put together all of this, the actual taxes that the person is supposed to pay, penalty plus interest on all of this, when you account for all of this, the total comes out to be more than 190 crore rupees. The total comes out to be more than 190 crore rupees. And very recently, the court or a court in Britain did not accept the government of India's petition to basically bring back this particular person. So all these particular factors looked into. Now the court has announced that this person will be treated as fugitive economic offender. Now for UPSC examination, you do not have to be worried about the names of the people. No, what you need to be focused on is the concept of the act, the provisions of the act, and the importance of the. Okay, so based on this, an MCQ here. Consider the following statements regarding fugitive economic offenders. There is no monetary threshold for offenses to be considered under this. There is no monetary threshold. Yes, there is 100 crore rupees. Total should be 100 crore and above, right? So, first one, incorrect. The High Court is empowered to declare a person as a fugitive economic offender? No, right? It has to be the special court set up under PMLA. Right, so even the second statement is incorrect. Both the statements are incorrect. Right option for right the question will be option D, none of the above. Last article for this particular session, the government of USA, the taxes on the remittances have been brought down to 1% now. Have been brought down to 1%. What is the issue? What is the importance of this article? Point number one, last week I hope all of you have seen the video. There was one article that I discussed there. That is, India is the country with the highest amount of inward remittances. And if you remember the number, which I would want you to remember, so that you can quote the data if at all it is asked in the mains or even in the interview, it is $135 billion. And for the last couple of years, it has been consistently above $100 billion. But more importantly, I told you one more point. In the recent times, we have seen a changing pattern. We are seeing a changing pattern. What is a changing pattern? More and more amount of remittances are coming into India from the developed countries. And within the developed countries, it is the USA which accounts for more than 27%, around 27% of the private remittances that are coming into India. Now, if you consider all of these particular points, you will realize that the remittances that we receive, especially from USA, are important. Correct? Remittances that we receive from USA are important. Please look at the graph here. Out of all the remittances, you will see that from US in 16 and 17, around 23% of the remittances used to come. And right, as per the recent data, 23 and 24, 27.7% of the remittances are coming into. And that's a very huge number, very, very huge number. So what happened? The government of USA, that is Mr. Donald Trump as a president, proposed a bill. The one big beautiful bill, right? The big beautiful bill. Under this particular bill, the president proposed to impose taxes on remittances that will move out of USA, that will go out of USA. That is essentially, if the remittances are going out, certain amount of taxes have to be paid to the government. According to the original proposal, I repeat, according to the original proposal, it was supposed to be 5%. 5% tax would be applicable on the remittances. Later on, it was reduced to 3.5%. It was reduced to 3.5%. And later on, now it has been reduced to 1%. And this is one very important point. So, according to the proposal, it was 5. Finally, when the bill was passed by both Senate and Congress, which was done very recently, by the way, now that number has been watered down further, it is 1%. And not just that, there is one more relief for Indians, especially. If this remittance is sent, let's say from a bank account, from a debit card, using a credit card, etc., even this will not be applicable. If this remittance is sent through cash, through, right, let's say other financial instruments, etc., then the tax of 1% on the remittance would be applicable. This comes as a huge relief because a lot of these remittances from USA do enter into India. And most of it, a large chunk of it, is either done using bank accounts, is done using debit or credit cards. So these are certain very important points associated with the proposal of 1% tax on remittances. But having said so, please understand, India has been receiving the highest amount of remittances, correct? The cost of remittances to send to India has been much lower compared to what is the global average. In fact, under the recent discussion, in the recent ministerial conference under World Trade Organization, one of the points of discussion, although no agreement has been signed, no outcome has been achieved so far associated with this, is to reduce the cost of remittances in the global market. With these kind of proposals being imposed by a developed country such as USA, basically flies in the face of the objective of reducing the cost of sending remittances now. Anyways, these are certain very important points associated with the 1% tax on remittances. So these are the different articles I wanted to cover, as well as the concepts associated with the articles. Now, as promised, assignment. Assignment number 1. Very recently, the government of India has taken multiple reforms, multiple measures to promote, right, edible oil production in India. Especially in the recent times, again, there has been a lot of discussion associated with edible oil imports. So here is an editorial article which provides a very good insight into what is the importance of this initiative government of India. That is National Mission on Edible Oils and Oil Palm. NMEO, National Mission on Edible Oil and Oil Palm, OP. What is the importance of this? Right? How effective this will be? Right? What is the expected outcomes because of this? Lot of important points are given. Please read the article, then try to write an answer for this question. Assignment number 2. Very recently, multiple reports have been published. Multiple reports which are talking about reduced poverty rates in India, especially the World Bank report, which says that there is a reduction by huge number in terms of extreme poverty levels in India. So, keeping those particular reports in mind, does it mean now we have to change how the subsidies are provided then? Correct? If those are true, right? If these numbers are, if this data is valid, then don't you think extreme poverty or poverty numbers in India is much lower? If poverty is much lower, then don't you think we will have to start reworking certain schemes which were formulated a decade back, 5 years ago, when we considered a different poverty level? Right? So, question associated related to this only, that is it the time period in India to reorganize or basically rationalize how do we provide food subsidies. The latest data shows that there is a decline in poverty. With this, there is a need to rationalize the food subsidies. Read the article easily, you can write the answer to this. Done. So these are the various articles as well as assignments with right the let's say the articles. If you like this initiative, right, basically show us your appreciation by clicking on the like button. Please do also comment in the video below. And if you're yet to like this particular video, do hit the like button and join our YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a great day.